Online Sports Podcast. We are your host. I'm Blair. This is Patrick. We've been away for a little bit, but we're trying to get back on track now. Trying to put out a podcast or so every week or so. Going to switch it up. Going to have some of our buddies on here as guests and just kind of talk about whatever. Will obviously keep sports involved and just kind of go with the flow more so than more of a script, I guess you could say. But sports are kind of slowing down right now in summer, other than NBA and NHL and stuff, which neither of us are really too big into. So we'll probably talk a little bit about some college with Tennessee sports wrapping up for the year and recap some of that, and just get into a little bit of other like free agency stuff with other sports or maybe some MLB. But so Tennessee sports, just in general, we're kind of we're not winning national championships at every sport, every level, etc. But nobody really is. But we're in the top, 25, top 10, and definitely the main sports. But just across the board, Tennessee sports are doing really well.
Yeah, I mean, with men's, you have the college football team, or the football team makes college football playoff for the first time. Basketball makes the Elite Eight for the second year in a row, and baseball makes it to the Super Regionals for the fifth year in a row. The only school that's done that in the country in the last 5 years. The next closest has made it 3 times. So men's sports obviously right on track. With women, you got all kinds of success, but with the bigger sports, basketball, Sweet 16, look like they're on the right track with their new coach. And then softball finishes in the Final Four in Oklahoma City. So, I mean, I don't really know of another school, maybe Texas or Ohio State, someone like that has finished like that recently in all the major sports. So yeah, I mean, everything is rolling right along. So overall, great success for all the sports. But like you said, we haven't been on in a while. Some stuff took place, but now we should be settled, both of us, and we can get to it. But I guess we left off talking about football early in the season.
Yeah,
But I mean, Tennessee ended up having a great year. Obviously, now there's a lot of different things floating around with the program, people leaving and such. But last year's season was a great success. Kind of ended rough with that Ohio State game, but obviously, I think the way Ohio State ended and kind of dominated everybody on the way to the national championship. Tennessee wasn't in the same stratosphere as that team that day, but nonetheless, it was a successful season, and just Heupel continued to chug along with the success that he's had since he took over.
yeah, and I think like people, which I don't think there's been too many people saying that we need to get him out of there, but that's just like the way people's minds work anymore. They're just like have to win now and don't let things develop, or don't let coaches get their full recruiting in and get their program going how they want it going. But I mean, he's the guy. He's young, he's experienced, he was good as a player, he's obviously good as a coach, he recruits well. He's a player's coach, and I think that's important in this day and age, especially like with NIL and stuff, which is something we'll talk about too, which has just gone bonkers and almost made it like another. College football is basically a professional sports league. I know all college athletes get NIL money, but like where college football is right now, a lot of these guys are making more than guys in the NFL. Like guys on a minimum contract, they're making right around $500,000. Where you have Archie Manning, who's played started 3 games, maybe 4 games. I don't know how many he played this past year with Ewers being hurt, but he's making $4 million a year. That's just wild.
Yeah, it's crazy the space that it's in. I don't see why any college player, especially a high profile player now, would leave before 4 years is up. I mean, obviously you have the risk of injury and things like that, but with the sponsorships, especially in these SEC towns with how serious college football is and people live and die with it, I mean, you're going to have major NIL deals. You're going to be making, like you said, more money than you would be making on a rookie deal and things like that. So it doesn't make any sense as to why a high profile athlete wouldn't play at a minimum 3 years, but most of them should play 4, just with the money that they're making. Obviously, the NFL or NBA, whatever you go to, is going to be a longer term deal, but still, in the here and now, especially like an 18, 19-year-old kid making that kind of money, I don't know how you could like justify leaving it. Like you said, a lot of them are making more now. But back to what you said with Heupel, yeah, you just have to look at, I mean, in 2021, you had such a huge roster turnover from Pruitt leaving, and he took basically a trash heap and turned it into a 7-6 team that was on the verge of winning a few more games. Flips that into one of the most the most ridiculous offense I've ever seen in college football. Obviously, some Oregon and some other offenses too, but just what he did in such a short amount of time with that 2022 offense. And then I think that's the problem now is like everybody's expecting him to recreate that 2022 offense when that was like such the perfect storm of people being together.
Yeah.
Hendon getting a second chance and it just clicking for him. He wasn't even the starter the first year, and then he gets a chance because Joe gets hurt, and it just clicks for him. And he's such a quick decision maker and was such a just a player like that. He made it all click. And then you had like some guys that were underheralded or just not as well known, like Cedric Tillman, who was basically a blocking receiver for Pruitt, and Hyatt, who developed into what he is, and all these things that perfectly came together to make just a lethal offense. It's just really hard to recreate that. I mean, our numbers have been good in 23 and 24, but nothing compared to that 22 team. And so that's what everyone is like, oh, he's lost it. He can't do it again. No, I'm sure that he could do that again at some point, but like still, like when you're comparing to like the greatest offense in school history, like obviously you're always going to fall short. Like this past year, I think that's the thing for me is like he's shown that he can win different ways. Like last year we won with our defense. Like Nico, I mean, he's gone now. I'm not going to just like crap on him, but like you could see like kinks because he was a freshman. He wasn't ready for, but like the defense lifted him up. The running game lifted him up. Like we were good enough in other aspects to where like Heupel, who is considered a quarterback whisperer, didn't have to reinvent the wheel for us to win 10 games to make the playoff, like other aspects of the team. So that's what gets me most excited about Heupel is like, not only is he like that player's coach, but he can reconfigure or figure out a way to win without scoring 49 points a game. So yeah, I agree. Like this guy is the guy. Like he's gotten me more excited about UT football than, especially after those Butch Jones and Pruitt years. Like it was almost like on life support, and what he's done so quickly is insane.
Yeah. And that's kind of like what you said with Hendon and his offense. Like the way Heupel's offense is designed, Hendon ran it to like a T. Like if you could put anybody in that offense and how Hendon ran it, that would be like who you want to model it after. Like going forward, that's what everybody looks for. And, it's not perfection, obviously, but the way it was, like you said, the record, best offense in school history, like that's, what we're going to be striving for. And, it's going to be hard to replicate because you got to have all the right pieces. Like, I mean, you had 2 wide receivers who got drafted, a quarterback got drafted, several guys on the offensive line, running backs, like just a stacked team. And it might have been just because that offense clicked the way it did and ran the way it did, that got them, on the field and got them to the next level. But I mean, we'll see it again. And Nico might not have been the right guy. He might be more of like West Coast type offense, Oregon type offense. Might fit his style a little bit better, but he was young. He made the mistakes you kind of expect a freshman quarterback to make. He wasn't freshman, obviously, freshman on the field, but to get us where we got with, I think I saw a stat the other day. It was like Nico wasn't top 50 in any like touchdowns, passing yards, rushing yards, like completion percentage, like key stats that you need a quarterback to have. And our offense wasn't that great, and like you said, our defense just kind of carried us. But he was able to manage the game. So at the very least, we have that in our back pocket that if we can't score those many points, he's got us to a point where we can still win games. So
yeah, I mean, like you said, there were flashes. Like there were multiple instances where they schemed the guy open and Nico just overthrew him, or like in the Florida game, Brazel dropped a deep ball. In the Kentucky game, like there was one that hit Nimrod right in the hands. It would have been like a 75-yard touchdown on like a deep post. So there's just a lot of like, I don't know, one step ahead on the throw, one step behind. He missed Squirrel over the middle so many times. So like it was there. It was just like a timing issue or things that he probably would have improved on drastically had he chosen to stay.
Yeah.
Whatever. Like not gonna crap on him. Like he was good for us, and like I was all in on him. Whatever he feels is best for him, that's fine. We'll have the players who want to play for UT. That's how I feel.
Right.
But like you said, I mean, the biggest thing to me, especially with the SEC being like a mini NFL now, Heupel's gotten us to the point where like we're gonna go 8-4, regardless because of the talent. Like we're gonna win 8 games. I feel like that's my thing. I feel
Yeah,
like we're gonna be like this. The floor is gonna be like 7 or 8 games. The schedule depends on who's on our schedule, how tough it's gonna be. But what gets you over the top is who that quarterback is. And so like
right.
if you have a quarterback like Hendon and the ball bounces your way, you can go 10-2, 11-1, and make the playoff or be in the SEC championship game. If you have a quarterback that can't make those plays, like we're good enough to run the ball, play defense, and still be 8-4 and be in a good bowl game. So like to me, if 8-4 is your bad year now, like there's not much to complain about because the SEC is a 16-team league. Everybody's like in this pecking order trying to,
Yeah.
get in that top. Like 8-4, you're going to barely miss the playoff when it goes to 16 teams. Because
Yeah.
like if you're 8-4 in the SEC, you're a top 20, top 25 team. So like if you're in that position, that's where you want to be.
Yeah, and like we're the probably even just 5 years ago, I don't know, 5 years ago or so, you could say there was a team every year in the SEC that pretty confident they weren't going to win maybe but one SEC game. But now you have like Vanderbilt or Kentucky, even like when they're down and not, a 500 team, they're still beating like Alabama or somebody every year. Like it's going to be competitive. Like they had
Yeah.
like Kentucky, for instance, they had a bunch of games where they were competitive and it was one score late in the game, they just couldn't close it out. So,
Yeah.
and adding Oklahoma and Texas and just making a huge dynasty league basically. It's going to be hard to win them all. And it's hard anyway, but adding more to the fire is going to make it even worse. But um, with NIL stuff, you can find a way to compete regardless, as long as you get a handful of guys or a quarterback that can run the system for you, and you know. But we'll see. Like you said, it's a professional league, and just
Yeah, I
trusting
mean, like
kids.
even Vandy's getting active in the NIL market. Like, there's a
Yeah,
couple of like Tennessee kids who are committed to Tennessee, like Joel Wyatt, who Vandy is just like pushing super hard for, and like getting them to come on visits and stuff. Like everybody having this rev sharing and all this money now is like really even in the playing field to where it's just. I feel like 10-2 is going to be the new 12-0. Like, yeah, obviously you're going to have some teams that are just stacked some years and the ball bounces their way and they go undefeated, but like I feel like it's going to be so difficult to just go undefeated, especially in the SEC now, or
mm-hmm.
even Big Ten. Like these leagues, Big Ten isn't as top loaded as the SEC, but still, like in college football, the money getting spread around, it's going to make it really hard to go undefeated. So, like,
Yeah,
I like it in some aspects. I wish that there were like some more guidelines and guardrails, which they're trying to put into place now, but it's kind of too late once you've already like done it without it. So we'll see what happens, but I do think it's making it more competitive across the board.
yeah. And it is crazy to me that like I get like taking somebody who's already played a year or two of college and throwing money at them to get them to come to your school. But like offering a kid out of high school who plays 3A football in Alabama or something, and then them going to a D1 top notch program and throwing them several $100,000 or more dollars. Like the NFL doesn't do that. Like they're not just going to sign somebody who was decent in college, whether they were playing SEC ball or if they were playing Conference USA ball. Like that's not the way it works, and I think that's why it's so successful. But how many times do you see a kid like a 4 or 5 star recruit go somewhere in college and then them just not pan out? Like they're not ever relevant, whether they stay at that school or bounce around to 6, 7 schools, and they just never live up to the hype, I guess you could say. So I think there's a lot more gamble with it as far as the NIL goes with college football versus like NFL. Even though we're saying it's professional wise, just with these kids coming out of high school, you just really don't know what you're going to get till you see them on the field. But their money, not ours. So
Yeah, I mean, we'll just have to see what happens with it. Like we said, a lot of changes going on, a lot of things they're trying to change. Who
yeah,
even knows if the NSA is going to be in charge or a thing in a few years, just with everything going on. So
yeah,
it's in a crazy place right now, but it's definitely making it more competitive.
right. Then with basketball, Rick Barnes, as long as he's there, we'll be in the tournament every year, competitive every year. He does it a little bit different. Obviously, you have to use the NIL that you can, but he doesn't go get all these 5 star guys that Kentucky gets and that Arkansas is doing with Cal and what Duke's doing. Like he gets guys that he can groom and coach and build a team. Typically with guys that he's going to have more than 1 year. He's had an exception with like Chandler and some guys like that who have come one and done. But most of the time, you see guys that are there for the long haul, and that's going to be good to see as long as he's there. Hope he never gets old and stays there till we die.
Well, in my opinion, Rick Barnes is the greatest thing that's ever happened to Tennessee athletics. Like, this is the greatest thing ever. I mean, I love football. I love baseball too, but like basketball is just near and dear to me. And I always followed it. You know that. Like, we grew up, and then I had my dad had season tickets through all the like lean years. Obviously, the Pearl years were mixed in there, but like Conzo years and Tendo years, and we were going to all those games and getting cheap tickets after he gave up his tickets and stuff. And just never would have thought that we would be in the position that we're in, just like back to back to back. First off, going to 2 Elite Eights back to back when we'd only been to 1 ever before last year. Just the players he's brought in, the consistency, the teams that Tennessee, like growing up, being kids, like even before knowing you and like watching like Kansas on TV and like Duke and North Carolina and all these teams, and like us, Tennessee being like a 12-17 program and never imagining that we'd even play those teams, nevertheless beat them. And now I've like seen Tennessee beat Kansas multiple times, seen them beat Duke and put them out of the tournament, seen us beat North Carolina, like seen us play in Maui, all these things. Like, it'll never be better than this. I don't know how many more years he's going to coach. He might coach 1 more year. He might coach 5 more years, but I'm telling you, it'll never be better. This guy is the greatest thing that's ever, I mean, him and Tony Vitello really, but this guy is just a freaking Hall of Famer that just can make literally chicken salad out of you know what, like every year now. Like, he just takes, and I really personally think, like, just listen to a lot of interviews and stuff. I feel like he was close to getting out because he was like tired of recruiting high school kids, but then like the transfer portal like completely changed it for him, because like now he can like recruit a kid in like 2 weeks or 3 weeks, and like the dudes are older and they're more mature, and like they kind of like, when you're getting re-recruited as a junior or senior, like Dalton Connect, like you're looking for the place that is gonna be able to get you what you want, which he wanted to get the NBA. So like,
and like you said, like I really think I think he kind of found a new love for the recruiting aspect of it, like finding a diamond in the rough, like Dalton and Jazz, like just finding 2 guys who are difference makers, like guys that should be playing top tier basketball. And he's found the top 2 guys, the past couple years. So
yeah, for sure. I mean, like,
I think
there's no this year. I mean, maybe there's a few guys, but like last year, there's no debate. Like, Dalton Connect was the best transfer in the country. This year, Chaz was definitely like a top 3 transfer in the country. To me, number 1, because he was exactly what we needed. So like, yeah, I mean, we could go through the wins and losses and things. Like, obviously, the Houston game didn't end well. They were super motivated. Like, I really thought going into that game, like, I felt good. I thought we were going to win. I was like, we're going to the Final Four for the first time. I just felt like it was a good matchup, and they just punked us. They played better that day. I don't know that they would beat us every single time out of 10 games, but that day they were better. But this season was unbelievable. It stinks because I really was banking on getting like Zakai and Jordan back. Like, I really thought that 50th thing would pass. And it's not 100% no, but it's just like the summer's already getting going and they aren't voting on anything. But just, I mean, we'll continue, like you said, to be competitive as long as he's here. And as if you get in the tournament, like, you got a shot. Like, we've seen those teams from the first 4 go to the Final Four all the time. And there's obviously the joke about Tennessee never making the Final Four. But, I mean, look at where Tennessee's basketball program was before really Bruce Pearl, but especially before Rick Barnes. Like, we'd only been to the tournament a handful of times, and you could count the the wins on your hand, on single hand. So, like, it's never going to be better than this. And so, if you're somebody that follows UT basketball, you need to soak it up, because, I mean, he's getting up there. I think he's got a few more years left in him, but telling you, everybody's like, oh, we're in a position now where we can hire whoever we want that's great, man. I'm just telling you, this dude's a Hall of Famer, does everything the right way. Knock on wood, but like, nobody's gotten in trouble since he's been here. Like, nobody. He's here 10 years now, and like, there's never been like an off the court thing, except for like one with Dietrich Mostello when he was like in his second year here, and the dude immediately got kicked off the team. Like, I know Tennessee, whatever, people watching this that don't like Tennessee or don't feel the way we do, like, yeah, of course you're gonna. But there's just never gonna be a better guy running your program than Rick Barnes.
Yeah. And I mean, that's across all sports. Like, it's hard to find a coach at the D1 level, or really any level, that does it the right way and does it the way he does it. Whether it's football, baseball, basketball, soccer, I don't care. Just, having a true respect for the game and for the guys he's getting on the team and for the program itself. Like, it speaks volumes. So just live it up while we got him. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
For me, moving on to baseball, I feel like Tony's the best thing that's kind of ever happened. Obviously, we won a national championship, which never done before. But I think I don't know if he'd be able to coach in every era because he's got a very different style of coaching. He's a player's coach, and the day and age that we're in with athletics and college sports, like that, you got to have that almost. Like, I think the guys that do it the old-fashioned way are slowly going to trickle out. There's very few programs. Like Arkansas still is very like tight and does it the old school way, kind of runs it, clean. But just the celebratory stuff and bantering back and forth with the other team is like part of the game now. And umpires are trying to have their way with cutting at it. But I mean, I think you should. I mean, as long as they're not saying anything that is like outright disrespectful, like let them play. Like, it's part of the game. They do it at the pro level. Like, let them do what they want to do. If it's not anything directed at the umps, as long as they're not using profanity or anything out of line, let it be part of the game. Let bat flips be part of the game. Like, if you hit a 450-foot home run off a 98-mile-per-hour fastball, you should be able to do whatever the heck you want within reason. Obviously, bat flip should be fine. But yeah, just like the program he got when he came in, and then just how quickly he turned it around, and then just like where he's kept it. Like, we trickled down in the rankings this year, but we were in the top 5 most of the year. Like, we're a top 5 baseball program. That's hard to do back-to-back years. I think back to I saw it during College World Series. It was something like back to 2009 or something. The team that won it the year before hasn't made it back to Omaha. So like with LSU and Skeens, they won, didn't make it back the next year. Us, we won, didn't make it back. Tough situation, but I think he's awesome. I think he's great for the program. He's great for the sports. He goes to all the other athletic events, see him at basketball games and football games all the time. He's in tight with like Peyton Manning and Morgan Wallen, who's not in the athletics, but he's a Tennessee guy. So I think it's great for the culture and great for the program altogether.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot I could say about baseball too. Obviously, we're baseball guys, like grew up playing or whatever. Like, and coming from a guy who, my dad, like, we were crazy, had those season tickets. We would drive up Friday, Saturday, Sunday for those games. Like, as young as I can remember, like starting in like 2002, 2003, 2004. And so towards the end of Delmonico's tenure, 2005, we made the College World Series and then did not make the NCAA tournament again until 2019. So like we went 14 years without making the NCAA tournament. So as a kid who, in 2003, 2002, I've got this picture hanging in my room upstairs of me with like the 8 seniors from I think it's the 2003 year. So like when on Sundays in SEC, maybe all year, but definitely during SEC, like when the game ended on Sunday afternoon, because they used to always play early, none of the games are hardly ever on TV. Like they would have like, you could come down and like take pictures with the players on the field. Like you didn't have to be family or whatever. Like they'd let kids come down. And so like I obviously being 8, I was like obsessed, like had heroes on that team. I remember Dennis Gomez, like this dude gave me baseballs all the time. I got pictures with him. He's in one of those pictures in that thing. It was like being a kid and like I'm talking about like 600 people at the games. Like the stadium sat like maybe 800 people. All the seats were like in high rise right behind, like from third to first. Never imagining like what it has become now. Even when they expanded the stadium before the 2010 season, because we got seats on the front row and my dad paid like, I think $110 per ticket for like 4 seats. Like, so he paid like less than $500 for 4 season tickets. And like we had this MVP room where we could go get food. The point of that being is like, if you look at what it is now, like talking about Tennessee basketball, never imagined what it is. Like imagining Tennessee baseball, what it is now is insane. My sister works for UT and I can't get tickets to go to the games. Like I can't even get tickets to like a midweek game versus Morehead State. Like it's insane. So like, as someone who like grew up, like the only dream I ever had was playing at UT and in baseball, and like knowing what it used to be like, and like how no one came to the games. And even in 05 when we made the College World Series, like averaging like less than 1,000 attendance for the games. Like, can never imagine what he's turned this into. Like a dead program, like buried program. And the second year we made the NCAA tournament, his third real year, because the COVID year got canceled, we made the College World Series, and now we haven't missed a Super Regional in 5 years. That dude, they should build a statue right now. Like, he should have a lifetime contract. I mean, I'm telling you right now, Rick Barnes, to me, still the greatest thing that's ever happened, but Vitello is like right behind him, because right now, I mean, you just could not ask for better coaches. I know that's a long diatribe about stuff nobody cares. That's like a personal thing for me, but like, it's freaking insane what he's done. I mean, taking a dead and buried program into a team that won the national championship last year, was on the doorstep of going to the College World Series for the third year in a row.
Which you could easily say was not even his best team he's had there, too. Definitely.
No. Like, I mean, 22 is like the best team in school history. Like, maybe not based on people who are going to make the MLB, which it might be, but like, that team was unbelievable. And just like, there was a fluke weekend that happened. Like, a lot of times you can say the better team won. That Notre Dame series in 22, total fluke. Like, you got to that Sunday game, played with the pressure, was ahead going into the 7th inning, and just, dude literally swung at a ball over his head, barely made contact, and lined it out to right field, and then felt the pressure and melted. That was a fluke. So, yeah, that was the best team. Hats off to Notre Dame. They found a way to win that series. But if that team had made it to Omaha, they would have won it all.
Yeah.
We would have had 2 of the last 3 national champions. Who knows? 24 might have happened different, but still, that was freaking awesome last year, man. Like, so, yeah, Vitello is the man. Hopefully we won't F that up, and he'll be the head coach here for 30 years. He can be our Skip Bertman, like LSU had, and we can just be one of the
– to give him, like, blank check, blank contract, let him fill it out however he sees fit.
Yeah, he should be able to do within reason whatever he wants, like spend the money to get the players, do whatever it takes. The guy's unreal.
Because like how quickly, like how he's turned it around, and like how much like more interest he's gained. Like, because probably even just with Delmonico, or even years prior to him, how many people could you say like that we even know would be like that they're Tennessee football fans? Like, hey, you watch Tennessee baseball at all? Like, I'd say 90% of the people we know would say no.
Yeah,
but
there's
like everybody watches Tennessee baseball. Like, if they watch Tennessee football, they watch Tennessee baseball.
There's a guy that is good friends with my dad that we've joked about many stories. I'm not going to say his name, but there's many stories. My dad, when he first got season tickets in like, I think 93, my mom got him like season tickets, and my dad was like, hey, I'm going to go to all these games now. So, but my dad would like try to get this guy to go with him. Like, hey, you want to go to the big game? And he would like laugh in his face. He's like, I'm not going to watch that. And now that guy's up there all the freaking time on the porches, watching the games, hanging out. So yeah, people have changed for sure, which happens when you're a winner. But I mean, I'm not saying you can't be a true supporter or whatever, but there's a lot of people that didn't know where Lindsey Nelson Stadium was about 8 or 10 years ago that are there all the time now. So,
which is,
I mean, literally think about this stat, like home runs. Like, obviously we by far lead the country in home runs the last 5 years. When Dave Serrano was the coach, one of the years we hit like 13 home runs for the whole year.
Yeah.
Like the whole year. We've hit 13 home runs in a weekend now. So like, it's insane, dude. Like what he's done, almost unfathomable.
Yeah, and which, I'll take winning any day, any way we can, but it does stink in the aspect as far as like going to games. Like, you have to pay way more money to get a ticket, and it's not going to be even close to as good. Like you said back in basketball, speaking of like the Tyndall days and the Cuonzo Martin days.
Dude, I think I texted you this like a few months ago. Like, especially you and me, like you were my like best friends ever, like growing to college or whatever. We would go to games all the time. I text you this all the time. I'll never give back winning. I'll never give up. I'll never give back winning or like want it to be different. But like those times when you're not good are so much fun because you can go to the games and like you see those guys. Like, think about us, like something like, obviously you're transplanted down here when you were younger and you like the Steelers, but we both love the Braves. And so when we were in college, we could go to Turner Field for like $12 and sit behind the first base dugout. And we watched and like got so attached to Freddie Freeman because of how good of a dude he was. And like, they were so terrible. And he never complained. He never ever in a press conference said anything bad about the team he was playing on. He stuck it out, and like he ended up getting rewarded with the World Series. Obviously, the Braves didn't do the right thing and re-sign him, but like just stuff like that. Like I'll never give back winning, but some of those best memories we ever made was when the teams we followed weren't good. Like when,
Yeah,
like you said, when
I mean,
Tenda
that's
was
like
the
the
coach,
biggest
and we
thing
got
too.
$8 tickets
Yeah,
behind the press row to watch them play Tennessee State. Like some of the best memories and like times, because it's so much more fun to me to like keep up with the team or follow them when they're not as good, because I don't know. To
yeah.
me, like the
How about that
loyalty in
time?
that aspect.
How about that time we went to the Braves game? We had lower level tickets, probably like 20 rows behind the dugout. Walk in, somebody working for the Braves. Hey, you guys got tickets? Yeah. Well, here's some behind
Yeah,
home.
the funniest thing about that was we were so
Super
hesitant to tell that guy. We were so hesitant to like talk to that guy because we were like too prideful. Like the dude was like, "Hey, where y'all's tickets at?" And he was like a Braves employee, and we almost were like, "Yeah, we're good, bro." And then he gives us tickets literally the first
Yeah,
row behind home plate because I couldn't give them away.
yeah. And Chipper Jones and his family were sitting right down the aisle from us.
Yeah,
Just bizarre.
yeah, those are good times. But like you said, I mean, like you said, I love winning and like it's fun, and especially with all the hype and everything. But like those best times are when your team really isn't any good.
Yeah. And like, I doubt we could ever go to the Braves now. Which, shout out Braves, you want to give us some free tickets behind home plate? We'll take them. But I doubt they even have the tickets to do that. Like, I bet there's so many people that buy that section of tickets right there, and uh, just don't have them to give out unless they're like, "Hey, I'm not coming to the game today. Here, give them to somebody." But
Yeah, dude, like, because we went to some games that I think we went to like 2 or 3 games that first year in 2017 when they were in Truist. Like, we went and did like
yeah,
our Walking Dead tour or whatever, and then stopped by. Like, even after that, like, after the Braves won the World Series, like, even now, like, it's so impossible to get tickets. Like, the World Series was
yeah,
4 years ago, and like, tickets are so jacked up, and it's like the thing to do. Like, even, which obviously they made Truist into a park that was like, you don't have to love baseball to go to the game because they have so much
yeah,
stuff. Like it is so hard to go to games and not sit in like the 300 level or above. Like on a Tuesday night, middle of May when school's still going on against the freaking Rangers or something, or who's terrible right now against the Marlins. Like
Rockies.
lower level 100 seats are like $120
Yeah,
a piece. Like it's insane. And we used to sit behind the dugout at Turner Field for like $13. It's
yeah.
insane what it is
And
now.
that's the bad part of it, which it's smart on their part as far as marketing and bringing in more money, but building all that stuff out in the outfield like is appeasing to people who are non-baseball fans and for kids, but uh, it ruins it for those that are going to just strictly watch the game as far as what they have to pay to get there and what they have to pay to watch. But I'm kind of like you, like I do enjoy going to the games, but I'm more content watching at home than I think I've ever been. For Tennessee games, Braves games, Steelers games,
Yeah.
just
I mean,
whatever
I
it
was
is.
in a group text with you a few weeks ago and somebody was asking us, "Hey, I got these tickets, you want to go?" And I was like, "Dude, I like going like once or twice a year, but I've gotten to the point where like dealing with the traffic, dealing with all the people. People now are so hostile, like even your own fan base, like it's
Mhm.
just I'd still like going occasionally, but there's not a better seat than on your couch. Like you can watch the
Yeah,
game, you can flip around, you can get your concessions that are way cheaper, use the bathroom whenever you want, hang out, like have people over and do it. And it's like this. It's like I said. I mean, we've been talking about making plans of going to a UT game this fall, like literally
yeah.
today. But still, it's such a hassle. Like it's more than once or twice a year. It's just like it's not
Yeah.
fun anymore.
Which, I mean, we've had our run-ins against Oklahoma fans a couple of years ago, which we're gonna go see them again. So hopefully they're not in the same section as us again on the way out. But uh, story for another time. But
Yeah, you're an idiot.
we can be hostile ourselves if we need to be under the right
Yeah, for
circumstance.
sure.
But
But
yeah,
I
like
mean,
you
saying
said,
all that stuff,
never
too, there's
take out winning. Uh, but sometimes it is nice to be able to just go to the games for next to nothing and just kind of enjoy being there versus like where we're at now. You have to pay a lot of money and go, and then the
yeah, for sure.
losses hurt a lot more. I'll say
Hmm.
that. That's for sure.
I mean, one thing, just going back, like Truist Park, and the way they build those stadiums now is like it's literally like a funnel. Like you can't
Yeah.
even move. Like if I go to a Braves game, like I went with my dad a couple times. Obviously, I didn't go last year, but like 23, I went with my dad a few times. Like we get there like an hour and a half before the game, and it's like so crowded. Like there's no space. That's one thing about Turner is like so wide. There were so many concourses. It's not the same way as it
Yeah.
was. Like
We used to go the games we would go to at Turner Field. We would get there when the gates open, watch BP, talk to the players in the outfield, get baseballs, and there would be, maybe I'd say maybe 100 other people like in the outfield, like engaged with batting practice, and now like seats filled. Like if you don't sit in that section, no way you can be down there. Like it's just
yeah,
way different. Which, I mean, it is what it is. But I'll never take back. I'll never. I don't know. I wish I could get those same memories at Braves News Stadium, but Turner Field was just. I think Turner Field was better, but I think that's just like the baseball mind in me and like what we had when we had it.
I mean, I'm everybody that knows me knows I'm super tight. My dad, he would always say this thing growing up, especially like because like in our real formative years, like we were terrible in football. Like it was just not fun to play the big games. It was just, and
Yeah.
so he would always say this thing, and I would never understand it. It's like even like into my 20s, I was like, what does that even mean? But he would always say like, and he said one time when he really said it, and it just like started to stick was after the 2019 Georgia State game, like the debacle. And so I'm just talking to him. I usually watch most of the football games with him. And he always says this thing, and he says, I always have my memories. And I was like, what does that mean? And as you get older, you start to like understand. He like tells me about the stuff that made him fall in love with it. And like being a kid when the games weren't on TV and like listening to the radio in the backyard, like throwing the football while the game's going on, or just like pretending and like listening to Bobby Denton over the PA and stuff like that. And just stuff that made you fall in love with it. And hope is the thing that like keeps you going, and like hoping that it'll be like that again, but knowing it might never be. And so really that's why like Heupel has like been the greatest thing for me, because like I mean obviously a ton, like we don't have a ton of viewers or whatever right now, and my dad, but like when it comes to UT, like the most loyal person ever, like listen to the pregame like 2.5 hours before the game comes on, all that stuff. And like the Pruitt thing, like pretty much almost ended that. Like the 2020 year, like he was like wavering. Like he's like, I don't know how much more, like, because it just hurt him. And then we went to that 2021 opener. They like changed it to Thursday night when we played Bowling Green. And like he wasn't like, he was excited to go or whatever, because he likes going like on the days that aren't on Saturday now, because that's just, he likes watching all the other games. So like he's like, yeah, I'll go. So we go to that game, and I think he went in expecting us to be like, just throw the ball over the place, and like it's not going to be fun, because he's like a traditionalist. Like he's adapted with the times or whatever, but he loves like running the football and stuff. And so like the game gets going and we kill them, and like we weren't that good, and Joe was like kind of inaccurate, so we like ran the ball a ton. But at the end of the game, we had run for like over 400 yards, and like it was just exciting and fun, and you could like tell the dudes were like wanting to play. And so like it just like got him excited again. So that like, I don't know, like basically saved me, because it's fun, it is like I have my own relationship with it now. Like I can talk to you, I can talk to everybody else about it, but like if that it hurting him that bad, like killed me. So like I'm glad. That's the biggest thing with Heupel, is like it's just like made it fun again, and like brought it to where like, hey, we can be good. And like the week of the Alabama game isn't like, oh my God, are we going to get beat by 40? Like we've beaten them 2 last 3 years. Like it's just, that's the biggest thing. It's just like totally re-energized, because like for us like diehards, like there was a point of like, are we ever going to be competitive again? So like that's the biggest thing for me. I know that's a long diatribe or whatever, but like that's the best thing that's ever happened, is the Heupel coming and like making us realize that, hey, we're not at the top, but like we can compete with those guys if we play our best, and like getting us to that point. So it's made it great again for me. That's a long-winded story, I know, but that's the kind of stuff that like makes it important, or like why you keep up with it.
Oh yeah, and that's the thing too. Like what Alabama has done in college football, as far as like the dynasty they had with Saban, like I'd be real surprised if we see something like that again, like in our lifetimes. Like,
Yeah, I don't think. I mean,
it's
never
common.
was like that before.
In like the worst possible area, other than Alabama itself, to hear about like there's so many Alabama fans around here. Just That's just whether they have ties to it or not, but just the culture of what it is. Like they even like kids our age that are Alabama fans, like they don't even understand like how good they had it or how good they have it right now. Like because they're still not like down in the dumps. Like
No, but
last
they're
year,
on the way down.
yeah, and that's
They're
the
on the way
thing.
down.
When they get there, they're not gonna know what to do. Like they've never had any other feeling really. Like I would say like maybe early 2000s if they remember back that far if they were fans then, but they were still competitive. But like the dynasty run from when Saban got there and on was just
Yeah, that's the thing. Like
wow.
you're hitting on a massive point. Like because obviously, again, back to my dad, but that's my reference point because like I asked him after one of the drubbings that they gave us. I don't know if it was 2012, 49-10, 2013, like whatever it was, 42-10, 2014, which was one of the more competitive ones. Like it got to a point where I asked him, I'm like, was it this bad when Bear Bryant? It was like because they beat us every year from 71 to 82, and then
Yeah.
we had our year of 4 in a row, and then they went on another streak. It's like a super streaky series, But I asked him, I'm like, did it feel this bad when Bryant was the coach? And he's like, no, this is worse because like
Yeah.
of how dominant they were. Like they were killing everybody. Like they would have that one game a year. Like in 2012, they had the Texas A&M game where Johnny Manziel went crazy, or like 2013, the miracle kick six. That
Yeah.
like the only way they were going to lose is on a miracle like that, or like 2014 where they got upset by Ole Miss but still made the college football playoff. Like they had one game a year, but it was never against us. Like it was never like they never slipped up or had their down game against us. So I asked him after one of those, I'm like, was it this bad? And he's like, no, this is way worse. Like they did not dominate like this. Like they were great. They were, the standard at that point in time, but it wasn't anything like this. Like so what you're saying is correct. There will never be another run like that.
Yeah.
Never be another run. Even Georgia, because like everybody knows I can't stand Georgia. I can respect how good they've been and like Kirby Smart as a coach, like getting what he's getting out of the players. But like even this is nothing compared to what Alabama did.
Yeah. A lot of the Athens police. What?
Yeah. About 27 reckless driving charges since the last game against Notre Dame, but they can play on the field. All the jokes off the field aside, like they can play. So
that's the thing too.
Like, still, it's just nothing compared to that Alabama run. Nothing.
Yeah, since we're out of the BCS era where it's just like the top two teams at the end of the year rankings like go to the national championship, like putting it in a playoff system and now expanding it, like it changes everything just because there's going to be more upsets as the years go on. It's not just going to be the top two teams in a one game, winner take all. I don't know how many years there were where the top two teams were the best two teams or the correct teams to be in the national championship, but like it takes that whole aspect out as far as like Alabama being one or two and going. And even in the 4-team system, like there was a couple years for sure where they got in and probably shouldn't have, and then there was a couple years where they were the 4 seed and won it. Like if it was BCS era, they wouldn't have been in it. So you can look at it however you want, but definitely 100%, I would say we won't see anything like that again.
No.
Probably in any sport, like because basketball is so hard to win in general. Like that tournament is the hardest tournament to come out on top. I mean, how many teams have we seen just be dominant all year? Like Kentucky, perfect season, lose to who was it? Wisconsin that year in the Final Four.
Yeah. Final Four. They were 38-0 and lost.
Like if you could build a basketball team for college basketball, that was the team. And they lost. Like
they had 10 freaking NBA starters. They literally would the platoon like every TV timeout. They were switching it out. So stupid how good they were.
Can't stand Kentucky.
Dude, I'm telling you, NCAA tournament, it's like you used to get together and watch that all the time, like the first weekend. I love the NCAA tournament. Okay. Like it's great, but it is the most agonizing thing, like because you always just lose to a team that you're better than. Like just Tennessee. 17-18, we get beat by freaking Loyola Chicago. We had no business beating us. But Kyle Alexander gets hurt. We don't have our low post presence. And we 18-19, we play like one of the greatest games in the last 20 years in NCAA tournament against Purdue. But of course, we end up losing because of a BS foul call. Carson Edwards scores like 45 points. Like every single year we lose is so agonizing. Like 21-22, Michigan is like the worst underseeded 11 seed of all time. 23, we run into Florida Atlantic, who's like got 7 Power 5 players for some reason playing at Florida Atlantic. 23, 24, we like are one of the 2 or 3 best teams in the country and have to play freaking Zach Edey, the foul merchant who shoots 500 free throws a game. This year, like we run into amazing Houston. Like it's so agonizing. Like when you get further, you can stomach losing, but it's so like the upsets are cool until it happens to you. Like it sucks when it happens to you because it's just like, man, we're better than that team. But this tournament, it's not a great way of finding a champion, but it's a great way of like shock value and getting people like interested in the sport.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I think it does do that with like the bracket challenges and stuff. Like, I run the bracket pool with, about close to 100 people every year who I would say 98% of them don't really watch college basketball. They're just picking it, kind of have a chance. But,
yeah,
it does do that. It's one of the most watched postseasons, I would say, in all sports. I'd say college football is getting up there with, implementing a playoff system. But, it does get a viewer's attention. That's for sure.
Yeah. And with college football playoff, I mean, there's a lot of kinks to be ironed out. Like all the games until like the national championship need to be played on school, like on campuses. Like it doesn't need to be like taken to bowl sites and stuff. Like they can still implement the bowls, like have bowls and stuff, but those games need to be on campus. Like, and also the biggest argument is like people say it devalues the regular season. Well, that's just, it doesn't make sense to me, especially if they were to make the more rounds on campus. Like, yeah, you can still lose and get into the tournament or get into the playoff or whatever. Like you can lose a game or two, but like if you lose, then you like lessen your chance of hosting a game, or if like you lose 2 games, then you probably have a pretty good chance of like going on the road. So like it doesn't devalue the regular season.
Right.
I mean, there's a guy that I started telling you about, and I think you listen to now that I absolutely love, Josh Pate.
Yep.
Yeah, but he is like full on, at least lately, like the latest that I've seen, like he still was like BCS was fine. We usually got the 2 best teams. And while a lot of times that's true, I don't know. I just feel like you had to be perfect. Like you literally had to be perfect. And so that's their argument is like, if you lose one game, you're basically out. But I don't know. I like it better now going into November to where like basically 25 or 30 teams still have a chance to like make it. So it makes like all these big games in November like relevant.
Yeah. And the thing about football too, like I think it's perfect because I think football is the one sport where a very large majority of the time the better team will win. Like obviously if you have like Alabama and Georgia playing, you could say who you think is better, but like it's going to be a good game. But like if BYU's playing Alabama, like you have a pretty good idea who's going to win, like in the playoffs.
Or even better, like if UAB is playing at Georgia in football,
right?
Like UAB might keep it competitive 5 out of 100 times. Like Georgia's going to win. Like they're bigger, they're stronger, they're more physical. Even if UAB is like able to play with them for a quarter or two, like Georgia's depth, athleticism, everything, strength is going to wear them down. Like it's just a sport to where like it's an arms race. Like the best roster is usually going to win, but not always. So like I agree though. Like in football, it's not a certainty ever, but it's like more of like a sure thing of like, yeah, this team's probably going to win. But that's what makes upsets so great.
Yeah. What do you think about as far as like the automatic bids? Like
I think that the 4 power conferences, Big 10, SEC, ACC, and Big 12 should be guaranteed a spot. I don't think they should be seeded 1 through 4. I think if you win that league, then you're in the playoff. And then wherever you're ranked at the end of the year, like say if you're ranked like 24th, but you win the Big 12, then you're probably going to be like the 16th or the 15th seed. Like you're in, but you don't get like 1, 2, 3, 4, which I think that's what they're going to do now. Like I think they're still decided, but like they're going to like just straight seed. Because like this year, if they had straight seeded instead of going to Ohio State, who blew our doors off and is definitely the best, most talented team in the country, as we saw, we would have been hosting SMU in the first round, which I like our chances in that game a lot better. I'm not saying that, I mean, SMU is a good team. Like they had an athletic quarterback, but we saw what Penn State did to them at home. Like I feel like we would have been able to win that game, or at least would have been a much better matchup for us. So it stinks that it seems things always get fixed after Tennessee's involved. But
that's true.
I think that they should get a spot, but they should be like just thrown into the 16. Like they shouldn't get 1, 2, 3, 4. Like
Yeah.
you get a spot, and then the other 12 are just automatic or like qualifiers. So like say Tulane is 12-0 one year and they finish like number 8. Like yeah, they should get a chance. Like if you go undefeated in college football, like you should get a shot. I think that those bids should go to whoever the best teams are that year. I'm not somebody that's like, oh, the SEC is so tough, 6 teams should be in. No,
Yeah.
like some years, like this year, like there was more parity. It wasn't as good. Like Alabama got left out, but they lost 3 games, including one to Vanderbilt. So like they had no argument to me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that the 4 power conference champs should definitely get a bid. And hey, even the number 1 group of 5 team, if you want to do that. So like 4 or 5 should be given out. They just get thrown in based on where they're ranked, and then you have like 11 at large bids or whatever.
Yeah. I want to go on record saying that when they said they were going to start a playoff system for college football, I always said that I think 16 teams is like the perfect number. Because as far back as I can remember, even thinking back to like UCF when they had that perfect season and beat Auburn in the bowl game, like I don't see a team outside the top 16 that like deserves a chance to win a national championship. And I don't think I ever have. Like you have those smaller schools who like UCF at the time, who was in a smaller, not so well known conference, playing not so good teams and out of conference teams. Had a really great year, but now like you give them that chance. But like I think 16 is like a perfect number, and I always have thought 16 was the perfect number to have to give them that chance. Even if it's, I don't know, somebody like University of South Florida, whatever. Say they're the 16 seed, but they went undefeated and they played like they played a Power 4 conference team in a non-conference game, but they weren't a good team. That gives them that chance, even though if they have to play Georgia, like you're going to find out if they're good enough to be there or not, but they're still given that chance.
You should reward what they did, like give them a shot.
Right.
So
Right.
I think we agree. I think there should be automatic qualifiers for winning your league, but you shouldn't get to just like jump ahead. Like this year, Arizona State. Now we saw Arizona State was very competitive with Texas, and almost they should have won.
Yeah.
But still, you shouldn't just get to skip line like that. I mean, I don't think there's anybody probably that would say that Arizona State was a better team than a lot of those teams ranked behind them. Ohio State didn't get a bye. Tennessee didn't get a bye. Penn State didn't get a bye. I'd say most people would say, all those teams were probably better than Arizona State. Doesn't mean they would beat them if they played, like matchups and things. But I would say based on your body of work in the season that you had, that you're probably more qualified to get that bye than they were. But because of the way the system was set up, that's what they did.
Yeah.
But as we can see, that was flawed. I mean, Boise State got one of those byes. Boise State's a solid program. They're a good team, but I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Like, Boise State isn't beating Ohio State.
Yeah.
This isn't, I mean, they could play with them. I'm not saying that, but like 9 out of 10 times Ohio State's going to handle them. So like, it was definitely flawed. I'm glad that they're working on fixing it quickly. The thing is college football is so much of a business now. There's so much money in it. Gambling is being promoted even more. I just feel like it's going to stray more and more away from the game they grew up loving.
Yeah.
Not saying I won't be interested in it and invested in it and living and dying with Tennessee on Saturday and watching all the games, but it's just, it just kind of feels more sleazy now. It just kind of feels, what's behind it, what the ultimate game is, it's all about the money and things like that. So hopefully, they can make some of these changes to fix some of the problems, like we said, like the seating and things like that. But, yeah, to me, I mean, the only thing that makes sense is having those 11 at-larges and 5 or 4 AQs, depending on if they want to include the group of 5 or not.
Yeah. So here's another thing I want to ask you, get your opinion on. So, like with football, basketball, they change the national championship site every year, pretty much. Like it will sometimes stay in like those main cities, but it changes every year. What do you think about as far as baseball always staying in Omaha and softball always staying in Oklahoma City?
College football national championship every single year should be in the Rose Bowl in Pasadena with the field painted the way that it is at 5 o'clock on a Saturday or Monday or whenever it is. It'll never happen because the Rose Bowl only wants to play on New Year's Day.
Yeah.
Now, it could happen because we've seen the national championship be played on like a Monday night and stuff in the Rose Bowl, but like the Rose Bowl itself is never going to give up that slot on New Year's Day at 5 o'clock. So to me, the game should be played there. It should be the Rose Bowl. So many people are clamoring for this and calling for this, including Josh Pate, who says that's where it should be, and some other people that I don't even like as much, like Joel Klatt and stuff. Like the Rose Bowl is where the national championship for football should be. It should be there every single year. It's the
Yeah.
most iconic, picturesque thing that exists in sports. I don't care what sport's your favorite. I don't care what you. I mean, you got to see that. That's the biggest thing. The thing that I was most disappointed about this year was not that we didn't win the national championship, not that we lost to Ohio State, but that if we had beaten Ohio State, I was going to get to see us play in the Rose Bowl with that field painted like that, with Tennessee in the end zone, like
Yeah.
seeing, because like for us being an SEC school, like it's hard to get in that game because like it's always been Big Ten or Pac-12, or you have to be in the national championship game, and obviously we haven't been on that level. So like that was the biggest thing. I texted you that. I texted my cousin Heath that lives in Arkansas. I was like, dude, I want to win this game because I want to see us play in the Rose Bowl. Like, obviously, that would have been the coolest thing ever. So to me, the football national championship should be in the Rose Bowl every year.
Yeah.
Basketball, not as sentimental. Like now that they've put it in these domes, like they're never going to go away from it. But it would be cool to see it in like an iconic place like Hinkle or something in Indianapolis. But I don't feel as, you know, one way or the other about that because it's insides. Like when you're watching on TV, like they all look the same. I'm not the same about that. I love College World Series being in Omaha. It should never change, in my opinion. And I think softball should be the same in Oklahoma City. So I'm good with most of them. Other than I think football should be in the Rose Bowl every year, no matter
So
what.
even if USC would like went on an Alabama run playing in the Rose Bowl,
Yeah.
yeah,
Even UCLA, their home stadium. Like if
you earn it, you
I
got
think
it.
they're last.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like it's such a mecca of college football. Like it's such a pilgrimage site. Like if Tennessee made the Rose Bowl this year, they would have outnumbered Oregon fans 100% because like people like me or people that have lived their whole life and wanted to see Tennessee playing the Rose Bowl, like we would have flooded it. There would have been 60,000 Tennessee people there. It's
Yeah.
like no matter who makes that game, Alabama, LSU, like if the game were in the Rose Bowl, it wouldn't matter. Like it's going to be a neutral field
Yeah.
at best.
Yeah, I was just curious about that. It got me thinking because, my wife obviously is a softball background. Her sister's softball, so I watched college softball more than I ever did before. I probably never watched it, but I definitely watch College World Series now. But I heard people on TV and just like on Twitter and stuff talking about like Oklahoma always getting an advantage playing basically 10 minutes from where they sleep at night.
Yeah.
Not having to make any adjustments or anything. So I was like, well, I mean, if you kind of earn it, you earn it. But, which baseball you don't see. I mean, Nebraska's hardly ever there. But, it's not a very centralized location where there's close schools that make it often, whereas Oklahoma, you could with Oklahoma State or Oklahoma. Oklahoma State's still a little bit of ways, but I was kind of more on the side of like, if it's in your city or close to it, like if you win and get yourself there, then you deserved it to that point. So I was just curious what you thought about that as far as like other sports and stuff, but that'd be something to ask people too.
No, yeah, I like the spots that are like set like that. I'm good with it. I like those, so I wouldn't change any of those.
Yeah, but I don't really know if we have anything else to talk about this week, but we'll try to get one of our buddies on here. I think we've got somebody in mind, surprise guest. And know who they are if they're listening to this. But we'll probably see them on here next week when we drop our next one, and we'll hit the ground running again.
Yeah, sounds good. Looking forward to it. We should, like I said, pretty stable now with our circumstances, both of us, mostly me. So hopefully we'll be able to at least put out once a week now, maybe more, depending on how much time we have.
Yeah. Make sure you follow us on Spotify, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, I believe. But eventually we're going to try to get to where we're either live streaming our podcast on YouTube or TikTok. Got to get more in the technology field, figure out how all that works. I think TikTok's a more likelihood of happening since you have to have so many followers to do it on YouTube. But Just got to gain the followers, get the views up, and get us there. So help us out. Like, comment, subscribe, share it to your friends, and get us to where we want to be. Tune in next time.